The Pitching Drills and Techniques video is brought to you by Marty Schupak and the Youth Sports Club as part of the Baseball Drills and Techniques series. Baseball pitching on the youth level for players aged 7 to 12 is one of the most important sports skills and needs the best quality instruction to ensure proper mechanics and injury prevention. Pitching Drills and Techniques shows some of the best pitching drills for the youth pitcher. Many of the drills break down the pitching motion, demonstrating the importance of each part of the body, from the wind-up all the way to the follow-through. There are also skill drills that, when practiced regularly, can help the youth pitcher reach his potential. The video also provides pitching analysis with the aim of keeping the whole pitching process as simple as possible. Parents and youth baseball coaches should remember it's better to have the youth player understand 5 or 6 concepts than to be confused by 20. As always, Marty Schupak and the Youth Sports Club emphasize improve as individuals, improve as a team, and have fun. The motion of pitching a ball places tremendous stress on the bony and soft tissue structures of the shoulder, elbow, and back of an athlete. Many injuries youth baseball players get can be the result of bad mechanics. A good idea is to do some basic exercises before the player goes out and throws hard. Loosening up and stretching drills are just as important for a youth pitcher as any drill or pitching technique. This is true at all levels of pitching. Waist turns are good for loosening up the hips. Circle warm-ups are very good for loosening up the arms as well as the shoulders. Alternate rotating your arms with big circles, then smaller, then bigger. Doing a little resistance drill. Trying to move your pitching arm while preventing it from moving with your other hand is beneficial for the upper arm and shoulder. On the ground, moving one leg over from one side to the other and holding the position is a very good warm-up for the hips. Remember that pitching relies heavily on hip rotation. While on the ground, you can have the pitcher stretch his wrist back. Holding this for 5 to 10 seconds is very good for loosening the wrist. A warm-up drill used by players at all levels to help loosen up the back is to have a player lie on his back and pull one leg up to his chest and hold it there. Have the player switch legs, then have him do this with both legs. 20 to 30 seconds for each of these exercises is sufficient. Players at ages 10, 11, and 12 will have some incredible growth spurts. These loosening up exercises will help with the player's flexibility and also help to prevent injury. A recommendation is to approach your local high school coach or athletic trainer and ask for the loosening up and stretching drills his regular players and pitchers do every day. Young players like to just get out and play. It's important to get them into good habits early. We call this drill the ready throw drill. Players will face each other about 20 to 30 feet apart. Their arms are separated, simulating the part of the windup when their hands are in what's called the break position. When the coach yells ready, the thrower lifts up his front leg. When the coach says throw, he steps forward and releases the ball. The player is positioned facing his partner with his glove arm straight out and the arm with the ball extended behind him. On the go command, the player lifts his front leg and throws to his partner or target. We always want the player to aim between his partner's waist and shoulders. Never try to overdo this or any drill, especially early in the season. No more than 15 to 25 throws in this drill will be effective, while also increasing the pitcher's distance. Make sure players tell you if their arm is getting tired or feels a little sore. Team coaches should keep a written record if a player complains of a tired arm. As players move farther apart in this drill, throwing accurately becomes harder. With a longer throwing distance, it's okay for players to reach their partner on a bounce or two. Over the course of a season, the coach will see definite improvement in a drill like this as the player's arms become stronger. The ready throw drill is used by players at almost all levels. This drill will improve arm strength while loosening up a player's arm. A fun change of pace, which is a continuation of the previous drill, is the long toss target throw. The purpose of this long toss drill is just to put a little fun into the previous drill. Set up 3 or more cones. On the go command, players will throw several balls in rapid fire, and the one who knocks over the cone first gets a point. It doesn't matter if the ball reaches the cones on a fly or on any number of bounces. As we try and develop young pitchers, when we're not concentrating on form, we always want them throwing at targets. This is an excellent drill for young players before they go to the mound. Many times a youth pitcher is not used to coming off the rubber into his windup. This drill has the player or players start on any white line. This drill is done without using a ball. The great benefit of doing this without a ball is that the player can concentrate on pitching form and not on throwing to a target. Also, players can get a lot of repetitions done. Doing this drill on flat ground, the player doesn't have to worry about balance and can better focus on his arms and bottom part of his body. When starting, the player's legs are about shoulder width apart. He will step back about 6 to 8 inches with the opposite foot of his throwing arm. This will transfer the weight to the player's back foot, enabling him to pivot on the rubber with his other foot. Then he continues his windup, bringing his opposite leg up with the knee in a balanced position, equal to or higher than the waist. He then moves forward, throwing and following through. Where should a player look on his pivot? Many coaches teach players to keep an eye on the target, and that is the way it should be taught. But if the player looks down as a natural motion, this is also okay. Here we see the same action from the front view. Notice in this stop action, if you look closely, all three players are not doing the technique in exactly the same way. Later in the video, we'll go into more detail about this. You can also have players stop when their front leg is up to see if they're in a balanced position. Here we see that when the three players try to hold the position, some are not able to. Being in a balanced position takes practice and concentration to learn. The key points to remember in this simple drill are that the initial step back should not be too far, and that when the leg comes up, the player is balanced. Here we see the correct opening foot movement, the step back, weight transfer, leg lift, and follow through. Here we see the opening foot movement, which for some players might not be advisable, as the leg goes back too far. This can put the pitcher in an unbalanced position. As seen here, the leg is moving too far to the side, and this can sometimes throw the pitcher off balance. Many youth pitchers will throw effectively, but do not have the best form. As a coach or parent, you have to be flexible when teaching a youth player how to pitch. Throwing from the level playing field is very effective in teaching good form. This excellent throwing warm-up drill is good not only for pitchers, but for the whole team as well. The purpose of this drill is for the players to throw using only their arms and upper body, but not their legs. Each player has a partner who is about 20 to 30 feet away. Each player will be on one knee and begin throwing to his partner. Abdominal, hip, and trunk rotation are critical to mechanically correct delivery. Pitching uses the whole body, and if we show young players how each part works in a simple way, they tend to understand it better and will be more effective pitchers. You can start out using a short distance and then increase the distance. Try to emphasize the follow-through. When showing a lot of these drills to 10, 11, and 12-year-olds, remember they have a limited concentration span. Remember not to overdo these drills. Another progression in this drill is to have the players throw from both knees, thereby taking away most use of the body and having them use their throwing arm 100%. This will also help players have the correct release point. This drill is important because it makes players aware of the role of different parts of their body in pitching. A player doesn't assume that pitching is all arm or all legs. A pitcher uses his whole body. This drill will help players understand that the speed of their pitches is slowed without the rest of their body. You can then have the players move further apart. In this drill, the players are concentrating throwing to the glove of their partner. Coaches and parents should not get into the habit of trying all these drills at every practice. Pitcher burnout is a problem for youth pitchers and can affect their progress if rest is not considered. The knee throw drill is one of the best early season drills to do. Make sure if you're doing this with the whole team that there's enough space between partners. Younger players can use soft covered balls or tennis balls. Another drill using one knee is the wrist throw. In this drill, a player and his partner face each other. The first player puts his arm at a 90-degree angle, resting his elbow in his glove. The players will flip the ball to each other using only their wrists. The purposes of this drill are to teach young players the importance of wrist flexing and to show that another important part of the body is used in the complete pitching action. The wrist plays a role in pitching the ball. The snapping of the wrist will increase the speed of the ball. Many people used to think that the wrist snap was the secret to throwing very hard. Today, most coaches think that the ball is actually released before most of the wrist flexion occurs. However, the wrist snap does aid the speed of the throw. Many young players will throw the ball with a stiff wrist. The snapping of the wrist seen here is excellent, so the player doesn't throw with this stiff wrist. Again, the hand should be on top of the ball. After some time, as in all throwing drills, we can progress to a greater distance. When teaching pitching, correct balance cannot be overemphasized. When a pitcher is not in a truly balanced position, he will tend to rush his delivery just to keep his balance. In this drill, the pitcher starts his windup without the ball. With his front leg up, the coach will hand him a ball after having him hold that all-important balanced position for a second or two. The coach will then tell the player to go or continue to pitch the ball. It's preferable but not absolutely necessary for the player's fingers to be on top of the ball, but we want him to concentrate mainly on the balance aspect of the drill. If players have poor balance, it may also be the result of tilting their head to one side or taking too large a drop step before getting into their lift position. To further test his balance, try having a player move down a few inches and come up to the same spot where he was previously and continue to throw the ball. An added twist in this drill is to have the player take 1 or 2 hops, then throw the ball. Again, this is a balance drill, and we want the player to concentrate on balance. While mechanics in this drill may not be done 100% correctly, we want the youth pitcher to perfect the different aspects of the proper mechanics, then put it all together. The crossed legs balance drill starts a pitcher in an almost unbalanced position. The pitcher must then compensate to be balanced. This drill starts with the pitcher's feet crossed while on the mound. The pitcher starts his windup from that point. The pitcher will extend his arms, or as it is called, break his hands, which also helps him keep his balance. The ball separates from his glove with the palm of the throwing hand facing down and fingers on top of the ball. The odd position of this drill will help the youth pitcher recognize the importance of keeping both arms extended. Ideally, when the pitcher begins to bring his pitching arm forward, he will simultaneously pull his glove hand toward his chest or body. The balance aspect of correct pitching mechanics cannot be emphasized enough. Balance and keeping the pitcher relaxed are probably the 2 most important parts of pitching to ensure success for young players. The importance of balance is also recognized when the pitcher ends his follow-through. He's then in a position to field a play. This is an important yet overlooked part of pitching. This is a drill where we have the player put a bat behind his body. This will limit any type of arm movement. This drill is designed to isolate a player's hips from his arms, showing the player how much he needs to use his lower body in pitching. We are reinforcing body awareness for the young player, showing him that pitching is not done with only 1 or even 2 parts of the body. With this drill, the player stands on the pitching mound and does his complete windup with the bat behind his body. Coaches should pay attention to a player's foot movement, hip rotation, and follow-through. Much of the power for a pitcher will come from hip rotation. Notice that in this stopped action, the bat should be pointing directly toward home plate. Youth pitchers sometimes throw using mainly their upper body, without following through. The whole process of pitching is not only throwing the ball, but the complete body movement from head to toe. Just as this drill concentrates on the lower motion, it's important for youth players who want to be pitchers to do the drills that concentrate only on the throwing motion to see the importance of the lower body movement. The wind-up leg drill is a good drill, not only for youth pitchers, but also for the whole team to experience what it feels like to use only the lower body when throwing. A similar drill is called the arm cross drill. Instead of putting a bat to occupy his arms, the pitcher will cross his arms in front of his chest. The pitcher will feel the same effect by using only his lower body. Remember in these two drills to point out the importance of hip rotation and follow through. When a player pitches, many times his back foot does not move the proper way. When his back leg stays on the ground during the throw, it's not letting his body extend downward. In this drill, we put a few gloves on top of each other at the location where the pitcher's back foot will move before it lands. We want to make sure the pitcher lifts his back foot, helping with the trunk and hip rotation, bringing the leg forward. The object is to not knock over the glove. In this picture, we see an exaggerated lift. The back foot doesn't have to go that high, and many coaches don't think this is of the utmost importance. The body's natural momentum will bring the back leg over and should allow the body to finish in a fielding position. The chair drill is used so the pitcher can isolate his throwing arm and can work on his hand separation. With the same leg on the chair as his throwing arm, the pitcher will try to throw to his target. The purpose of this drill is to enable the youth pitcher to see how it feels when he's not able to use his whole body. It will also reinforce the follow-through. Youth pitchers always want to throw hard, and this is a great drill to explain that the speed of a pitch will never be as great when a pitcher uses only his arm as when he uses his whole body. Another teaching point is that we always prefer our younger players to pitch or throw overhand and not sidearm. This drill can also be done with a tennis ball against the wall at a player's home. In all these drills, coaches should always have an idea of how many pitches a player is making. If a coach goes to a clinic and sees 30 pitching drills, it doesn't make sense to do them all in one practice. Pick a few, and remember in a lot of these drills you can include the whole team. It will always be beneficial if your infielders and outfielders learn the correct throwing motion and use their whole body. The chair drill helps the youth pitcher to understand the whole pitching concept in a simple way. Remember that doing an isolated activity is much better than just saying to a youth pitcher, "Follow through," or any other instruction from the sideline. The uphill pitching drill is done from the back of the mound. The pitcher starts his windup right where the dirt meets the grass. This is a very effective drill to work on the pitcher's release point and follow through. It also helps the pitcher get used to not landing on what is called a stiff front leg. Because the pitcher is throwing uphill, he's forced to follow through correctly to reach his target. On the follow-through, the pitcher's right hand, if he's a righty, should end up outside of his left knee. If the pitcher's a lefty, his left hand should end up outside of his right knee. The youth coach should emphasize this technique to assure a correct follow-through. This follow-through is very good, with the pitching hand ending up outside the left knee. One of the better early season drills is called the short throw drill. This can be done on a mound or even on a flat surface. A net or something to stop the ball is set up about 3 to 6 feet in front of home plate, creating a shorter distance to throw to. The purpose of this drill is to have the player throw to a larger, more general area. What makes this drill good is that there's a high rate of success that's very important for young players. Positive reinforcement is a great learning technique and makes it possible to build up to more difficult and challenging tasks. There's virtually no pressure on the player, and it's quite easy to hit the net. The coach can point out things such as balance, follow-through, and release point. A great teaching point in this drill is to have the players bounce the ball into the net. Having the young player concentrate on one thing and only one thing is very important. Other drills focus on mechanics. Here, we're focusing on accuracy and hitting the target. It's important to break apart these different parts of pitching, then combine them so the youth player does not have to think about too much at once. This drill is used with a towel held by the pitcher. The towel is in between two fingers, with one end of the towel longer than the other. The pitcher's partner is kneeling about 4 to 6 feet away, holding his glove out. The pitcher goes through his windup and tries to hit his partner's glove with the towel. The purpose here is to keep the pitcher's head steady with very little movement. This drill also eliminates short-arming the ball and teaches good extension. The complete focus on the glove is similar to focusing on the catcher's mitt target. The snap motion of the wrist is also used in this drill, making the towel quickly hit the target. Remember, in most drills, we try to have more than one goal. We want the drill to function as a way to master a technique and also have the players focus on a target. Many youth baseball players tend to throw sidearm. What does a youth baseball coach do when a pitcher has a tendency to throw sidearm? This drill, the fence drill, is an effective drill to help players overcome this. Move the player close to a fence on the side where the player's throwing arm is closest to that fence. For a righty, the fence will be on his right side. For a lefty, it will be on the left. Move him to a close yet safe distance from the fence so that when pitching the ball, he will be conscious of it. This will force the pitcher always to come overhand or over the top. Sidearm pitchers will tire more quickly because their motion is not natural. This drill provides excellent results, getting a player out of the sidearm throwing technique. If there is no fence, a wall, or even a coach standing where the sidearm motion would take the arm is also effective. If a player should ever throw sidearm in this position, his arm will brush against the fence, as the player here is demonstrating. The coach should emphasize form in this drill. Throwing strikes is secondary. Mechanics is by far the most important aspect in pitching. Many coaches and parents want a pitcher to have excellent speed, but at the youth level, for the long term, this is not the most important factor. The fence drill is one drill that will help players learn the mechanics of pitching. In this drill, we are beginning to get into a more challenging area. Not all pitchers 10 to 12 years old will be able to do this. The location pitching drill is done with only a pitcher and a catcher and a bucket of balls. 4 balls are set up, 2 on each side of home plate, about 12 to 15 inches apart. Each ball will be a target that the catcher will move behind, and the pitcher must try to throw to him. This type of drill will work the catcher a bit as he bounces around from target to target. The coach can stand behind the pitcher and use hand signals to direct the catcher where to move, or the catcher can move on his own. The purpose of this drill is to get the youth pitcher to throw to his target, wherever it is. Coaches can adjust the distance from the pitcher to the catcher. This is not the most difficult of drills, but it has significant long-term benefits, especially if the player continues pitching for his school team and beyond. The best pitchers on all levels are those who can throw the pitches where they want and not necessarily throw the ball with the most speed. The positive reinforcement and assured success in this drill are excellent for a young pitcher to achieve success. A catcher's target is the best target the pitcher can throw to and will also reinforce the pitcher's confidence. This drill is called the multiple home plate drill. It's a great early season drill. Put anywhere from 2 to 5 extra bases in a line from home plate toward the pitcher's mound. The real purpose of this drill is to get the youth pitcher to practice throwing a straight ball right to his target. The pitcher will throw from a few feet in front of the rubber. This is also a great drill for young players who have aspirations of becoming a pitcher, yet might lack the ability. You can have the players start throwing at almost any short distance or at varied distances, then move back a few feet at a time. These multiple bases will enable the pitcher to pick up his target at a closer distance. Younger players really enjoy doing this drill and get excited by their success. This positive reinforcement for younger players is very important. Remember as a coach to be flexible with the distance depending on your player's age and ability. If extra bases are not available, other items such as baseball caps can work just as well. Players enjoy drills using different types of equipment or creative props. Remember, this is strictly an accuracy drill. A great technique is for the coach to set a goal of, say, 15 strikes out of 20 pitches and see if the player can do this. As youth coaches, there are many times we should challenge our players in a particular drill. In this drill, we see a situation which young pitchers probably have never seen. We're putting up a left-handed and right-handed batter at the same time. Young pitchers are always conscious of hitting batters. Because of the distraction and the oddity of the setup, the pitcher is forced to concentrate and really focus on his target. Whether it's youth baseball or the 7th game of the World Series, a pitcher must throw his pitch to the target. It's always better to have a pitcher throw with a player in the batter's box. Simulating game conditions is the best preparation for pitchers at any age. One of the most important points when working with a youth pitcher is throwing strikes. Sometimes a pitcher has a live arm but is a little wild. It's better to sacrifice some of the speed to ensure a better chance of throwing strikes. The concentration of the youth pitcher in this drill will help his skill throwing to his target. Adding that second batter is making the pitcher's throwing more challenging. When doing this drill, obviously make sure the batters don't swing, and also move the batters a little toward the outside of the batter's box for safety reasons. We have emphasized the importance of good balance when pitching. Having an unbalanced position will cause numerous delivery and mechanical problems. When you see a pitcher rush through his delivery, he may not be in a balanced position and is rushing to avoid falling over. One of the most successful techniques used for young pitchers who may be a little wild or off balance with their windup is to pitch from the stretch position. Pitching from the stretch position does not require the same amount of strength, balance, or coordination as the full windup. There are a variety of reasons, including an incorrectly maintained pitcher's mound, why young players may find a full windup a little difficult to do. Most youth pitchers get caught up in trying as hard as they can to pitch as fast as they can. This is a big mistake. Pitching from the stretch position will slow down the pitcher's speed, but will also force him to take his time and be more accurate. Pitchers on all levels do this technique to help them stay balanced. Early in the season, it's a good idea in games to have all your pitchers throw from the stretch position. Mix up how much you want to integrate the windup with throwing from the stretch position. For instance, have your pitchers throw in a game from the stretch position for 2 innings. Then use the full windup for an inning. You can also have pitchers alternate innings. Again, the point of this drill is to have the pitcher pitch from the correct balanced form. Let's now look at some of the key components that comprise good pitching mechanics for the youth pitcher. Without good mechanics, a pitcher will always struggle with control. There are a great many theories about arm angle and a lot of other things. We don't want to confuse the youth pitcher, however, to get him thinking about too many things at once. For instance, if you go to a clinic and learn the 25 best things to teach a pitcher, try to use only the most important 5 or 10. Remember, we're working with 8 to 12-year-olds. Now, let's begin. Start on the pitching rubber. This is where the pitcher starts in a good balanced position. Start the windup with a small step back at an angle for the transfer of the weight to the back foot. The pitcher then pivots on the rubber and lifts his front leg. The front leg lift should be equal to or higher than the player's waist for a good balance point. As the leg begins to go down out of the balanced position, a player's hands should break or extend. The fingers should be on top of the ball. As the arm with the ball goes forward, the glove is brought in toward the body or chest. Bringing the glove in will help speed up the hips. The back knee should be slightly flexed or bent. A couple of hints with regard to the feet. The front foot should hit in almost a straight line, pointing toward the catcher. The back foot should have rolled over so that the shoelaces are turned down. Upon release of the ball, the back leg is brought forward, not dragged. This will help to give good hip rotation. When the ball is released, the pitcher's hand will end up on the outside of the opposite knee. Pitching mechanics is one of the most difficult things to do in sports. In addition to correct mechanics, here are some of Coach Marty Schupak's personal tips when coaching young pitchers 7 to 12 years of age. It is better to undercoach than overcoach youth pitchers. Do everything you can to relax your pitchers. Tell them never to rush. Play doesn't start until the pitcher throws the ball. There are many different theories about where a pitcher should look during the windup. Some look down, and some look at the target. It is preferable to have the pitcher keep his eyes on the target all the time during the windup. Balance is probably the most important part of pitching at all levels. Practice pitching drills without the ball, so the youth player can concentrate on form. Practice throwing with the player's eyes closed. This is a great reinforcement of technique. Have your whole team do a lot of the pitching drills, as it will help in their throwing form at any position on the field. Mix in games when practicing with youth players to make practice fun. Practice pitching against a target or knock down cones, integrating what is taught into a game. Young players love competitive games. Teach the youth player at an early age that pitching uses the whole body, not just the arm. Sometimes rest is as important as practice. Don't burn out young kids, and stay away from curveballs. Players should concentrate on location of pitches. Here is a suggested pitch count for youth pitchers. Here is a suggested recovery time. Here is a list of some hints that a coach may look for when evaluating whether his youth pitcher is getting tired. The youth baseball coach and parent must ensure the safety of the youth baseball pitcher and also make the learning process fun. The pitching drills and techniques video shows how we can make the skill learning process fun. Whether these drills are done on your local field or in your own backyard, the parent or coach should make sure baseball pitching is stimulating for the player. Now, let's get out there and play ball.